for today and share my screen for all this fun stuff. Okay, so for, oh, you guys went over to my other screen. So for today, we're going to be talking about financial projections. And this is, I think, one of the things that can feel very scary, but also very exciting at the same time, because you're going to see your numbers for the year. And then it's also like, it'll be like, whoa, I've got feelings. And then we're going to be like, okay, but now I know what my goals are, what my target is, so I can move forward. So I have this like little quote: know what you own and why you own it. So we want to make sure, like with last week when we talked about getting your numbers down, the numbers tell us everything about what your thoughts are behind what's going on in your business. And I got myself coached yesterday by friend Janae, who is such a wonderful human. She like caught like a sneaky thought, like there are going to be thoughts at the beginning that are like very loud, and it'll be like, oh, of course this is like making an impact in my business. And then as your business goes on, you're going to be like, no, I'm like totally fine, things are going great, everything is good. And then all of a sudden you're going to be like, it's like it'll just be a little bit sneakier. So when you have the numbers, it's so much easier to see, oh, here's where my thoughts are in a really objective way, instead of just like kind of like relying on your like gut and your intuition, which are like so important to rely on. And we want to include a little element of like facts within this. So, what we're going to talk about are 6 different pieces of one spreadsheet. It's a lot to like kind of cover, but it's really important that you know these numbers, because you'll know exactly what your targets are. You're going to know what your goals are, how many clients you want to bring in each month, what numbers you could hit or want to hit in the future. And that's what I do every single month. So we're going to talk about in not this session, but I think next session, we're going to talk about like doing a monthly checklist and the things that I just hit every month. And I just went through mine on 6/2. So that was like Friday. Yeah, that wasn't even that long. God, it feels like it's been a year. But within that, it's like I go through this every month just to make sure I'm like, okay, I'm on the right track. And those of you that are thinking like about like growth for the future and thinking about like, okay, why is this so important to do now? When I talked with and you can view my conversation with Barbara last week, one of the biggest things is knowing your financial projections for hiring an accountant. And she actually does a lot of CFO, which is the chief financial officer responsibilities. So it's like eventually, if you are in a place to hire, this is really, really good to make sure you know your numbers and you're like, okay, at this point, I can bring someone onto my team because I know I'm going to bring in this much money in the future. So the 6 pieces, you have this spreadsheet within your notes. So like you don't need to like know all of this right now. But Mindy is here. Oh my gosh, it's been forever. So exciting. But we've got receivables, which is just like how much money you're going to be bringing in. And then you have your expected receivables. Like people come, people go. We want to get an idea of like what we think is going to happen, what we can expect for the future, but maybe things that aren't necessarily guaranteed. You also want to know how many clients, how many consults you've gone through. And you want to know, and if you don't do consults, how many times you've like reached out to people. Knowing your sales calls and all that information is really important. Then you also want to know your current profit. This includes how many consults you've done, how many clients are new, returning, lost, total number of clients, and overall profit. Expected profit, you can read, and projection. So like it doesn't make sense probably when you see all these things. So that's why I want to kind of like glaze that and show you what it looks like in my spreadsheet that again I use every month. I went over last Friday, and just to make sure that I'm always up to date. So here are the names of people. This is what I did for the last one. These were all the clients that I had at one point. Like I mentioned before, I actually scaled back on a lot of my one-on-one clients. So now I'm focusing on like scaling and like bringing in, like making sure my systems are great. But this is what it looked like before. So I had some clients that would work with me for a very long time. So I used to do 10 months, which is 40 sessions, which is a lot of sessions. And I loved it. I thought it was great. And within that, these were the number of sessions that were upcoming and things. These are the number of sessions they had. These are the number of sessions that were upcoming. So this is primarily if you are providing a service like Vindia, this might not be something for you, but you could do this with your different companies that you're working for. What their end date is really important to keep in mind, because you like, okay, so if you look at this, I had a bunch of people ending in February and March, and I needed to make sure that I was ready to replace those clients if I wanted to stay at the current client load that I had. Then they were also keeping track of people that had paid, how much they had paid so far. And then the receivables are how much money is coming in. So how much money we expect to receive if these clients finish out. Now, again, clients come and go. This isn't guaranteed. But that's what that looked like for me. I also wanted to have my timing for the beginning, middle, and end of the month. Not again necessarily for now, but for me, I always like to know, like, okay, why am I learning this now? Like, what do I need to expect in the future? Eventually, you guys will all get to the point where you are paying yourself, and I'll go through like what my accountant went through with me. I set up a system to pay myself every month. And it was really important to know when, like, I have to pay myself $8,000, but 5,000 comes back into my account, and then 3,000 goes to taxes now. You don't need to know that until you're above the 50 to 75K range. So you don't need to know that right now, but for the future, you guys are going to get there, and you want to make sure that like, you know, when people are paying you, so you like have money to pay your taxes if you decide to do the monthly payment like I opted to. So these were, and if you are wondering what the different colors were, my prices have changed a lot within the past lifetime of my business. So I had 10 months for 6K, then I had 5 months for 5K, and then I had 6 months for 6K. And I'm even toying around with like doing 7,500 for 6 months as well. That's my new price. I just want to like clarify with my business coach and be like, hey, just checking. I want to make sure this is a good price for me. Along with that, within the group, if you do groups, so Talia, this is kind of directed at you. You want to make sure you know who's paid in full, how many for the other people that are coming. And I don't really track the sessions because you guys all come to the same session. So that was how much for the last group with the payment plans. I don't know why that's there. That should be there. And then you'll have your total number of receivables. This is just important to keep in mind, and knowing when people are coming and leaving. The next piece that you want to be tracking in the spreadsheet, the next tab over. So this is what the first tab over should look like. It might not be rainbow. You guys should have just one offer with one price. Again, learn from my mistakes, and that's why I'm teaching you that now. But when you have it shouldn't look like a rainbow. It should probably just have one price and one timeline listed. The next thing, and you might notice here that there's $970 versus $1,000 here. I would recommend doing the payment after taxes. So if you decide to use Square, they take 3.3% of every dollar that you earn. So I actually changed my receivables. So instead of having 1,000, it's 970. That is how much I actually would have in the bank if, again, this person continue to work with me and pay me. So I had a bunch of people at this $1,000 price, and that is what I have listed here. And I changed the color just so I could have a frame of reference. These are the people that were doing 6K for 10 months. So those are like the 600 a month people that I had for forever, because it was a 10-month program. It was a long program that I had. And then these are the people for the group. So in January, I expected to get $10,000. And this is also just like great if you're planning out things like, you guys know I went on vacation. I'm planning on going on vacation again. I'm like, oh, I can see that like I can afford to go on vacation. I can make sure that I can budget my money and making sure that I'm ready. The next piece is going through and listing the number of clients that you had and the number of consults you have. When we talked about like your marketing formula previously, you want to know your conversion rate. You want to know how many people, if you do a consult, are they going to work with you? Not necessarily like, I mean, it's not like a guarantee like that, but creating these numbers, it just makes, for my brain, it helped me create things that were so much more predictable, and it made me feel way safer within my business. And then I also listed the number of clients that I had. So these were names of people. So I would have like the clients that were at this price, the names of the clients, not just a number, they're like actual name for each price. And that also helped me keep track of like how many clients I had at each point. The next piece is your current profit. Now just kind of like ignore the like total, because I was like, okay, how much would I need to make 100K? So this is something that I actually did back in November of 2022. So this is something that I wanted to show you what it would look like over the course of a year. And so I had all of my consults, clients, people who decided to return every month, how many clients that, and I have lost, and I actually changed it for years for like, I think I put completed. So like made it sound like a little bit nicer, but like clients that decided to be like, nope, I'm either not resigning, or I'm also not going to, they would just like pause halfway. That happens all the time. Do not be like alarmed. That is a normal part of having a business. How many total clients I had, and then how much money. So, and the reason why I did this, and these numbers like shouldn't be there, but that's okay. Within this, that I was like, okay, my expected profit, you're going to go back to the second tab, which looks like this, and you're going to copy and paste each data point, and you're going to paste them in. You're going to be like, okay, I expect in September people are going to pay me, October, November, December. This is how much I think people are going to pay me, but it's not necessarily guaranteed. And then the other fun part, it's like, so this is like, if you are aiming for a certain number this year and things like that, that's why this piece is really helpful, because then that's why I've got the needed here. It's like, I was like, okay, I really wanted to make 6 figures last year. I was like, in 1 year, like I had made 6 figures over the course of my business, but I was like, in 1 year, I want to hit 6 figures. And that's exactly what I wanted to see. I was like, okay, how much more would I need to make in order to actually hit 6 figures? And then the last part of the spreadsheet is what it would look like if you added more clients. So like taking that 970, yeah, that's right. It's like being like, okay, if I got 2 more clients in December, what would my numbers look like then? So what you do for that is you have the number of clients you would add, you add the expected profit to that, and that's how you can get your totals. Which is just like, this is where it can be fun. It's like, okay, if I decide a client today, like I want you to, like, every single one of your businesses is so brilliant and completely in demand. I've never seen a world that needs more people with your businesses to serve them. Like it's truly like so awesome. I'm so glad that you guys have such amazing business ideas. And if you're like, okay, if I sign 2 more people, whether that's someone I met at the gym, whether that's someone that I met at this networking group, whether it's someone that I like, an old friend of a friend, a client referred me, a client decided to come back after like a year. All of those things you want to keep in mind. And this is the way that you can like find a motivation for yourself. Like if you're like, oh my gosh, I really don't want to do outreach today. I really don't. It's like, okay, but if I just get 2 more clients, that's going to create a lot more safety for my business. And I'm going to have a lot more, it's just going to create a little bit of a cash reserve that might be really great. Talia, this is for you, if and anybody else who would like to do a group. So this is like when it's like, okay, I was like, if I get 5 people in my group, this is for last year. I was like, that would be amazing. It's like, oh my gosh, I would get like it's like if I had 5 people times the 500 it was for my group, I was like, I would be making 9K more. If I got 10 people, that would be 18K more. It's like, wow, so much possibility. So that is it for projections and pretty much like all financial things. It's a lot. I know we've given you like a bit of a week to digest it. Do you have any questions about that before I talk about creating a website with Sydney? Yes, Maria.
For the section about projecting where you're doing add-in 2, add-in 3, add-in 4, do you do that? Like, when do you do that? Do you do that like
Every month.
you change it every single month
Mhm.
or you updated it?
I
Okay, I
up
guess I'm wondering like because the one that you have is like filled out for 9 months, and
Yep.
then you have like you have like your total for a whole year. So like if I were starting right now and it's what like June, um, I guess that maybe the question is like, what is the purpose to project for like the following year, or is the purpose to project like right now?
That's such a good question. We want to project for just this year, but the beauty of it is like, okay, you'll start to see trends. So I actually have my numbers for, and think I showed you guys that last week of like my 2021, 2022, like all those numbers. I can start to see trends where I'm like, oh, in the summer, I typically sign less clients. Like that's important to know. It's like when I'm thinking about like launching, when I want to do webinars and things like that, all that's really important. But every month I do that and I make sure that I've got my numbers just so I'm like, okay, I want to sign. My goal is to sign 4 clients this month. I'm like, why not? I think it'd be really cool. And then what I'll do is on like the first week in July or like probably the second week in July, I'll go back through and I'll be like, okay, this is what I actually made. And I'll go through and I'll delete this. And I'll be like, okay, that's how much money I could make if I added more clients. I didn't include group on here for right now, but I could also add group, Talia, if you're curious about that.
So it's almost like you're at the very end of a month, because this profit that you have is what you know. This is like what's expected to come in
Just
already from people from like payment plans.
yes.
And so then at the beginning of like on like June 1, then you update this.
Yep. And you can see I put the dates here just so I like remember what date I actually like went through it. And so I'm like, okay, I worked on this in 6/2. I've got like my expected. I've got this here. And I tried to cross it out so like you guys wouldn't see it. But then I was like, I was like, I already had the slide. So I was like, so you guys can see what it looks like. But this is what it looks like for me right now.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. And I do it every month. And I'm like, all right, just so that I know, because I'm like, oh, criminy. That's the old one. But it's like, oh man, it's like I would like to, it's like now that I feel like now I'm like, oh, I could take on some more one-on-one clients. I'm like, I'm feeling good about this. Like that's why it's like I paused for a little bit and I'm like, no, I'd like to have some more this month. So that's what's the plan. And who knows if it's gonna like happen, go exactly as planned. It never goes exactly as planned, by the way. But it makes me feel a little bit safer and like, okay, I'm not going to, it's like even in October, I'm still gonna have one payment plan going. I'm like, okay, I can breathe a little bit. I can be like, okay, I'm gonna be just fine, you know? But really good question. Any other questions? No, I show you guys all things. I'm like, because this is what I wish and I was like, when I was working with my one-on-one coach, and even in like a lot of other containers I've been in, I'm like, how do other people do this? I'm like, because they must know. And fun fact, no one else I've ever heard of does this ever. Like, and I'm like, how do you feel like, how do you not know your numbers like this? And so this is not necessary. Like people who are making multiple 6, even 7 figures do not have things like this. It just really helped my brain to be like, okay, like fun fact, I did not also have a goal in April and May. I was like, nah, it's like I'm okay. I was like, I'm just gonna like wean back I didn't have a goal for her how many people I was like kind of like aiming at 10 and I ended up 11, which is great, but it's like I was like, yeah, I just feel like I just need more time and space to think about things. I'm making this a non-financial growth year so I can set up things that like and which are important to have as well because I feel like things for me to scale to multiple 6 and 7 figures is where I would love to go. I think it'd be so awesome. I wanted to make sure that I cleaned up a lot of back end and I invested in some media coaching, like I talked to you guys about, which has been awesome. And I'll share tidbits of that with you guys as well. But within your business, like you want to make sure that you know your numbers and things like that. I had a better point, but that was the only thing that came to my mind. And it's very blank for you. That's why I included like the exact pictures of the spreadsheet. The other thing I want to add is that like for my consults and things like that, it looks kind of crazy. I have it on this spreadsheet and I just need to take it off and make it a separate sheet. But like I literally like have the names of like everyone I've done consults with and things like that because then it just like helps me to understand. But I didn't block out names of people very well, so I was like, I'm not going to share that for too long with you people. All right. So if that's all, I know that a lot of, oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm looking for the spreadsheet and I can't find it.
Okay.
And
It's in classwork under, great question, under the projection system number 9.
okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Like, please don't be sorry. I'm like, and if you, and like you guys know, you can put your links to yours. Like I've gone over in depth with, Andrea, like multiple times with her pillars. Any of these worksheets, any single system that I give you, I would be more than happy to look over it for you. If you just put it in the stream, I can like review it, make sure that like I'm like, okay, wait, what's this going on here? So feel free, like you could put your copy or your calendar, like literally anything that I've gone over with you to this point, you can add. Now remember, these are the essentials. This is what I would recommend to have in place as you scale to 6 figures. These are just additional things that I found really, really helpful. Again, people do not everybody uses that. And that is like, I mean, like I'm talking to people. I talked with my friend Janae, like I mentioned last night, like she's hitting 300K this year. One of my clients, Amy, she's gonna hit 500,000 this year. And like, she's does none of this. And I was like, how did you not? And so we like have created it for like Amy because she's my client, but like you don't need it, but it could be just really fun and helpful. The next thing I want to mention is that the one-on-one or the accountability time. I know Chimitra came last night. I know that like it doesn't always line up for everybody, but I was hoping to give you these dates a little like far enough in advance that if you would like to come and learn how to make a website, next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern is going to be Sydney's time. Now, I've only paid Sydney to answer questions during that time. So she's not prepared for you guys to email her questions and things like that. But I added her email on here in case you just want her to make your website for you. I was like, and at the time it was $3K for my website. So just so you could price it out if you're looking for someone to just like do it for you. But Sydney can make a website for you if that's what you're looking for. And you can just email her and you guys can set up a time for a consult. Within website creation, that is something that like we talked about. We haven't talked about this and I just want to review it before she comes live because I don't want any of these to be questions that like I know that there's going to be like a ton of, I'm sure, SEO questions or anything that you need, but this is exactly like how we made my website. She was like, okay, give me a tagline. And this was all in a Google form that she gave me. So if you're looking to work with her again, like feel free to like, this is essentially what she gave me. I just put it in a form. I put it in a document so you guys could see it all. So these are my examples. Like you can go in here and you can put your I help statement and I'd be more than happy to look over this for you. Your value. These are your pillars. Fun fact. It's like, this is what I offer you. And I have the what you will learn. So you can have your pillars in there in your website. The stakes. Now, I included screenshots. It's really hard to see. That's why I have a link to my website. If you literally what I did is I got a lot of these prompts from a program called Online Coach Accelerator, which is no longer offered by Rachel Bell. It was great. I really loved it. Like, that's why I give you guys like all the accountability, why I check over your worksheets, because I just really enjoyed that setup. You could literally copy and paste this. I just didn't want, it got way too long. I tried to do it for you guys and I was like, this is gonna be too much. So if you literally want to copy and paste exactly what I said and change it to be your words and be like, okay, your problem. People find something to do, or like, it's like people like know they want to curate their lives, but they don't know how. They are missing time dedicated to it. And they start to curate some pieces and it feels great. And then life gets in the way, things happen, they forget that they really want to live this intentional life. It's like once they get to and then once life gets in the way, things to do pile up and they forget how important it is to live intentionally. Once in a blue moon, they'll see a post or something, they'll get like nice to be productive, and then it goes back to nothing. The thing that they used to like dream of kind of creates dread in the back of their mind. Sadly, they're waiting for the moment when they can start their life, but they never, and then it leads into more struggles at home. Eventually, these people like just settle, and I feel like stuck sucks. And these are her words, soul crushing. They are not my words. I might change this around, but it does not need to have to be that way. So you can literally like, I want this to be the easiest thing because I know people can agonize over their business and their website. Again, literally not necessary. People have scaled, like, I think that I know someone that scaled like to an $800,000 business with that website. It can be done. But if you want to just have a really easy, fast website that is done, literally copy mine. I'm here to serve you and help you in any possible way I can. And at least it's a starting point. And then you can like at least have something like that. All of that is listed in the website creation worksheet, and it's actually at the bottom. So just in case you're looking for it, there's the essentials, additional, progress tracking, live calls, and all the way at the bottom is the bonus, because I don't want you guys to like fixate on it. Last round, a lot of people got like really stuck on this piece, and I don't want it to be like, I want you to do one and done. Just like, if you want to create a website, do it and then be done with it, and don't look at it for a long time. So that is all listed here. Mine is in a different order. She gave me this order to teach you guys, or to give to you guys. I don't know why she changed the order, but still very helpful. And then if you guys are doing a webinar, you can have that listed, and webinars are a great thing that you can add to a tab in your website. Now with the videos, she, I clicked on this website creation video and I was like, there's no sound. I was like, there's nothing here. And she was like, it's because I intentionally like left it without sound. And so I was like, oh, that's helpful to know. So if you're clicking on it and you're like, why is there no sound here? There is no sound in the video. Just in case you're nervous about it. But she literally like walks you through like, and she's like 3 paragraphs about who you are, who you help, how to add sections. All of that's listed for specifically a Squarespace website. I think the cost of a Squarespace website is like $16 a month. Again, I want you to keep businesses as lean as possible. You don't have to do Squarespace. You don't have to invest in that, but it is a possibility for you. There's also, she talks about domain names. So if you look at my website, it says meganwingcoaching.com. And I think it was like $13 a year to have that name. Where is it? I have it here. Okay. These are like good keywords. You can see what people are like asking about. You can like include, like, this is some of the SEO pieces. And I think that when you do a Squarespace website, I just did this with another one of my clients who will be coming on Monday. So you guys will get to meet her. When you go to make a Squarespace, it'll ask you like, do you want to buy a domain name? For the first 2 years of my business, I did not have a bought domain name. It was like Wix site at Megan Wing Coaching. So it's like not a necessary thing. You don't need it, but it's just another option for you. She also talks about how to optimize your SEO here. So this
It's super easy to use and it's not very expensive.
Yeah. So she's like, I think she literally was like, it's very easy and not expensive. That's a way that you guys can like add pages and things like that. also a benefit to having Squarespace if you want an email list, if that's something that you're looking for, I believe that Squarespace has like a website or an email list option too. So it's like, it could be kind of like a twofer. Again, I want to make sure that like the only investment you're making is in this program, but if you wanted to, that's a great way. Wix is free, and they also have an email integration thing. And I made a site with Google. I was like, I know Google, I know how to do this from school, and I made a Google site. It was not very pretty, but I did have that for a little bit. But again, all of this is an option for you. The thing that I don't love about Squarespace is I'm kind of, if you haven't noticed, anal about like a lot of things, and you can only use like 3 fonts for your whole website. So like there's only 3 options for the whole thing, and I'm like very irritated by it. I get the cohesive and like the connection, but I literally like Googled, I'm like, what are good pairings for Squarespace websites? And that's how I came up with these. Do I love it? No, but it's just functional. I'm like, it works, and eventually I'll make this even fancier. So she's going to be coming on Monday at 8 to 9. And then Jewel is going to talk about networking and how to like network with people without feeling like awkward on the 26th. It's going to be another Monday call. And then also I wanted you to like meet her kind of like Renee did. So you're going to meet her then. And then on 7/18, she's actually going to substitute coach for me while I'm at my family reunion in Prince Edward Island, Canada, just in case, because we've got Wi-Fi there and I'm just worried. I was like freaking out about it, like pretty much like the whole time, and I was like, Aunt Vicky, you've got to make sure that like we've got Wi-Fi. And she was like, I don't know. And it's a very small island, and I was just like, it'd be better to sub this out. And then my business coach, Maria, Jackie's gonna come on the 25th, which is when I'm gonna be out of town for that work mastermind trip as well, because they pack those days really full. So just a heads up, those are the only 2 other subbed calls that I'm aware of. And I will be taking the call from Florida in the first week of July. So these are the only 2 things. I'm sorry it's back to back, but I will still be checking in with you guys. Any questions? That was so much. I was like, I know it's a lot of like talking at you today. I'm sorry it was so much talking at you. We're going to take a quick pick, and then I'm just going to put the first slide back. And then get started with coaching, so I can just celebrate you guys online. Also, I've been a solopreneur up until today. Literally today is the first day that I have unofficially hired my partner, Rob. He's going to start posting for me, which is so helpful. And I know a lot of people have actually done this. So it's like not just me, because I was like, I want to be lean, I want to save, and he wants to get involved, and he's very helpful. So he is going to start posting your wins. Anything that you post in your forms, you might see it on my page. Just like, I'm going to keep it anonymous just so I don't have to like ask you, because he doesn't know you, and that'd be weird. But like, it'll just be like the blurbs of like the big ones that you guys send me. Talia, I was going to ask you if I could post your win, which is like super exciting. You already have a person in your group. Spoiler, I'm like very excited for you. So he's just gonna start posting those every day, because I want people to see that like all the momentum that you guys are creating and like celebrate you guys. So that's coming. And also a quick pick, and then we'll get started. Are you guys ready? 1, 2, 3. Boom. All right. So who would like some coaching today? Remember to start with a win, and then we'll get in. I like rhyming. If you guys didn't know that already. Yes, Vinya. It's been so long. What has been up? I've seen your wins, and I've like casually reposted like so many things for you.
I know. I had a major win last week where I won my first, big, national journalism award, which was so exciting and unbelievable. But thank you. But then came like the thoughts, and that's what I'm kind of dealing with, like in the aftermath of that, which sounds like so traumatic and whatever, but like it I felt like a lot of like imposter syndrome, and I know me and Megan have like talked about this in the past, where I just always didn't feel like I belonged in a place like journalism. Um, and I think the award was finally like a great recognition of all the great work that I've put in, and all the learning I've done in the field. But at the same time, my mind was like, well, this was a team award. And even though I came up with ideas, even though I did a lot of the writing, um, it was a team award. Like, it's not really something that you can claim for yourself. And it didn't really help that, I think, and I never know if this is what people's intention is, but when they say like, oh, is this like, did you write anything though? Or like, did you write it? I'm like, yes. And then that like kind of instills like doubt in you that you already had. So yeah, I just kind of like wanted to work through that, especially now that I'm kind of wrapping up my work with this client. They're moving it in-house because of budget issues, which is totally fine. But I don't want to, I guess I want to challenge these thoughts, and really take time, like learn how to celebrate myself. Because it's like, if the award isn't enough, what is?
Mhm. And I think that's like one of the most important things, like to realize that like at every point, and I want you to know that like it does get better, but I also like experience all those things. It's part of, I think, being a human and recognizing that when your self-concept shifts, I think the doubt came from like just a misalignment with your self-concept that still, even with all these things, didn't realize that, oh, yes, I am a writer and I deserve to be celebrated and things like that. So if you're thinking about like, I want to know what is the doubt piece. That's, I think, the last thought that is going to take you to a place where you can settle. And like when we talked about like the river of misery, it's like this was like the one piece that like brought you back. And if we can figure that out, then you can come ashore and just like stabilize as an accomplished, awarded writer that you literally are.
I think some of this kind of comes back to my childhood. It's like, is this a joke? Like, are people like, is this a trick that someone is like playing on me? Like, are they like just saying I'm a good writer just as a like to mess with my head?
Hmm.
It kind of goes back to like some high school bullying, probably, but like, yeah, I think that's what it kind of comes back to sometimes. And it's, yeah. Like for me, for example, I wouldn't necessarily compliment someone on their work or, give them an award if I was in that position, if they didn't truly deserve it.
Mhm.
But it's just like for myself, it's hard for me to kind of acknowledge like the work that I've put in over the past year. So
Yeah. And I think that it comes down to like knowing their intentions. Like it's like the fear that their intentions are not what you think would be genuine.
mhm.
What do you think their intentions are? Like do you think that they are genuine, like as a corporation with multiple people, as this like esteemed work, what do you think that they are really trying to joke you, or is this like an inner child thing that you're like, oh, I can recognize it, like this is like a part of me that like didn't even realize was here?
Yeah, I think it's probably more of an inner child thing because I think of this from the perspective of like a company. It's like, why would you bring on a person like as a joke and like waste your resources on them?
Yeah,
It doesn't make much sense.
and I think that's why I was checking in, because I'm like, we can like listen in and we can be clear, like, oh, this is for sure something that like is from my childhood. And it's like, because I know it doesn't like necessarily logically make sense. So what if you picture like, and typically like we won't go too deep into like the inner child things, but I do think that this is like just a small enough thing that we can be like, okay, we can like comfort her. So this is what I do when I notice that like I'm feeling unsafe being in a, and I think that's happening. I think that she just doesn't feel safe to celebrate within this environment. I want you to like take a look inside. Like if you want to close your eyes, if you want to do this at like a different time, that's totally fine too. But I just want you to like take a minute and like picture like that high school version of you. And I want you to think about like why she, like I want you to ask her like, why don't you feel safe? Like what's missing? What can I do to help you feel safer? Does she have an answer for that?
I think maybe a fear of the other shoe dropping, like maybe this is too good to be true.
Mhm. Okay. So, and I think that happens for so many of us, that upper limit problem, which we've definitely like dug into before. And you guys are gonna like, if you haven't experienced it yet, it's the most like interesting thing where your brain's like, I experience success and then I'm going to self-sabotage that success. So I'm really glad that you are like coming to this call today, because a lot of times what happens is we will then self-sabotage and we don't want to do that. But I want you to think about like, okay, so it's too good to be true. Like when she's saying it's too good to be true, I'm not like, why is it too good to be true? Just like ask her why again, from a really kind, loving place.
Um, I think because in some aspects, like we've talked about, like writing has been one of those things that has been, it's still difficult for me, but it's come more naturally to me than, you know, other things have. So there's always, I think, that extra layer of doubt. Like
Yeah, it should be harder if like
if it's deserving of an award. Yeah.
mhm, which is so interesting. And I think this comes from a lot of different like societal like messages that are like it has to be like really hard. You have to struggle to be successful. Does she see that, or is there another reason like why she feels unsafe for something to be easy and good?
Yeah, I think high school me found a lot of things that came, it just thought like, you know, if it's hard, then it must be good.
Mm,
If it took a lot of like mental energy or effort, then, you know, that's equal to success. But I
mhm.
think now that I'm older, like I recognize that's definitely not true. It's more about, you know, the value of your work. But
Where did she learn this message?
I think from my parents and my peers.
Hmm. And I want you to picture her. Did she go to the things that were easy, or did she kind of like, she was like, no, I've got to go through the harder route?
Yeah, she went through the harder route.
Yeah. And I want you to show her without having to like live that other side of things. I want you to show her that these were all the beliefs of them. Like, I want you to picture like the peers and your parents, and I want you to just like see them kind of like in front of you. And I want you to like then also come in with yourself and be like, I've won awards. I've made more money than I ever have. This is actually very easy. And seeing those are two very conflicting opinions. And this is what happens is we've got cognitive dissonance. It's why your brain is like going to what's familiar. It's like there's a stark contrast between success is simple and success is difficult. You know, success is a struggle. And I want you to like see that like, and for me, the thought is like, I have to work more to make more money. Like I have to do more so it's like we all have flavors of this. And everyone else on this call, I want you to think about like what flavor this comes in for you, because I've never met someone that this didn't affect like this thought, you know. But when you're thinking about like, okay, I'm seeing that I'm doing something that's like actually aligned for me, it feels so right. These are my gifts and strengths. I want you to, there's like this there's a surface level like understanding, and there's like a deeper level of knowing that like this is what you're supposed to do. Do you feel that deeper level of knowing?
Yeah, yeah. It's just always like this sense of alignment, but then I feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
Like I could be in a very busy place and I'll start like doing work on my phone. It's just a bad habit, but it puts me like in the zone. Like I get really relaxed when I'm like actively writing. And then it's like, oh, but then I feel guilty because it's like, this is not like, why do I feel guilty for enjoying, my work and profiting off of it?
Let's ask your brain why. Why doesn't that feel safe to you? I think the guilty is a different flavor of unsafe.
I think because everyone I've seen in my life has worked, long hours.
Mhm.
And in like difficult working conditions, or they've had some kind of gripe about work that I just don't really have.
Mhm.
So I think the guilt comes from that.
Mhm. And I want you to think about like when you're thinking about like working those long hours, and it's like, oh my gosh, if I don't have to work these long hours, what are you making that mean about you?
That my work is not, as valuable or meaningful.
Huh? And I want you to hear that, okay? And I want you to like, and of course, like if you're like, oh, everyone in my life has had to work so hard, like I feel bad, like that, like this is coming so easy to me. And then I also want you to like drop back into like that sense of knowing why now, why you are you so skilled? Why do you have so many gifts and talents? Like, I believe that we are at a time where I think humanity needs to shift. This is like a very deep philosophical thing. But like, I think that like humans are supposed to be, we now have like the most safety physically that we've ever had. And we have the most like resources and things like that. I think that we're supposed to shift to the next level, to evolve past. And we can be grateful for the people in the past that weren't able to maybe do the valuable and meaningful work that they truly were sorted and had those like talents of their own. And I think now it's like our job to do what feels good, to do what feels aligned. Because if we think about the legacy we want to leave for future generations, do we want future generations to have this like long hours or gripe about work? Or do we want to have next generations doing the things that they love, feeling aligned to, so that we can get even better as a society? So it's like we can have that appreciation for the past. And I want you to like lovingly like look back at those high school people, look back at your friends and your peers and your parents and say, thank you so much for giving this, for holding that burden. And I appreciate you. And now I'm meant to do the next level of this work. And now I'm able to like celebrate the fact that I have actually figured it out. I figured out what I'm good at. I figured it out at a young age, and I'm able to now go and give this work to the world. And now we're going to shift it for all generations, no matter what age. I was like, let's take age out of it. I'm like, any of us that are on this call, we're on here because we figured out something that we actually feel really good at. And I think it's our job, our duty to the next generation to make their life a little bit better. High horse for a moment, stepping back down. How doesn't that feel like something worth celebrating?
Yes.
Does it feel like now that your brain understands why they had to work so hard and now sees that this is your mission, does that feel safer? Like you can be like, oh, this, of course, it has to be easier for me. Of course. And I have to show people that doing what they love can actually make more money. And it's like now this is actually like gone from like something that's a vein, something I feel guilty about, something that feels disaligned, to the most important piece of my alignment.
Yeah.
Do you see that? Like, this is what you were supposed to do. And I like to think about like all these like little things from our past, like the high school bullying, it's like, I was there. I was so there with you. It's like, I'm like, I think if I hadn't encountered those hardships, that this revelation wouldn't be as powerful and I wouldn't be as motivated to make things better for the future. Like, I don't think, like, it's like I've been through so many things, and I think that every single thing that I've been through is just because, like, that's what my soul needed. I don't know. Again, I don't think everything happens for a reason, but you can find a reason for everything. And I'm like, I think the reason I went through a lot of shit, and everyone has shit like in their life, but like, I think the reason why I was is because I'm supposed to do this work in the world and help other people, you know? So it's like, we can be so grateful for her. And we can also like be like, that was a turning point for me. Instead of being like, is this a joke? Is someone playing a trick on me? It's like, they were, but this isn't. This is my purpose. This is what I'm supposed to do. It doesn't come this naturally for a mistake.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
It feels a lot better, you know.
Any lingering things that like keep you from feeling like you can celebrate?
I think just thinking about it from my perspective helps. Like, I wouldn't go out of my way to, you know, award someone. And I have to also remind myself that, you know, the award wasn't just picked out by like 2 or 3 people. It was a huge jury of people. So I think keeping that in mind helps me. And yeah, it was just a really like big surprise to me, I think, and I wasn't expecting it at all. But yeah, I think as I wrap up with this client now and I move on to other ones, I think I have to get out of the mindset of trying to prove myself and, you know, show like tell them like, oh, I can write, I can do this, and, you know, being all acting like a student or whatever. But I think I have to get to that place, whether I like it or not, of, you know, already knowing that I'm capable of delivering good work.
Yeah. Because I know you are too. And if you think about like, and one of the things, so again, last night's call was just very helpful with Janae, but she said the difference between 6 and multiple 6 figures, she was like, is the amount of time, this goes for everybody, like listen in, because I was like, I was like, holy shit. The difference between 6 and multiple 6 figures is the amount of time that you think about you versus the amount of time you think about other people. And I was like, oh shit. And apparently DL, who is like multiple 7-figure earner, she's like 26 or 27. And she's like already hit multiple 6 figures. She's like such an inspiration. That's the advice that she gave to Janae as well. I wish I'd kept the voice memo that she sent me this morning, but like, she was like, that's literally what she said the difference was. And so if you think about like, instead of thinking about you, thinking about the fact that these journalists, these companies, they need you, they need other people to read them. They need the information that you're sharing. Their listeners wouldn't get the information as well if you didn't deliver it. Or if that's, you know, it's like, if that is too much of a, like, but like you've seen other journalists in the way that they write, which is awesome and wonderful for them. And it's what they're meant to do. But like, you know, that you can deliver messages extremely well. Like that is going to give very important information, like whether you're doing business writing, whether you're doing financial writing, that could change their lives. Like the stuff that you were writing about, like the housing industry and like how to save up for a house and whether you can, like all those pieces, there are people who have read that have literally bought a house because of you, because you've shown them that it's easier than they believe. So it's important work to do in the world. And if you think about them and you think about the companies that want to inspire and help other people, that can help you as well. You know? How does that land?
Yeah, I think keeping the readers in mind is also very helpful.
And like literally, like I'm just harp on this call because it was such a good call. But Janae was like, the one thought that got her into service every time was, it's not about me.
Like in terms of like the problem you're trying to solve.
It's not about me, it's about them. And I was like, oh, so good. So if everyone like know that we have these gifts for a reason, and it's also like it is about us, and it's about us delivering it, but it's also not about us. It's about the people we're meant to help. Oh my God, I've got like tears. I'm like, huh. It's like that's the why we do all this, is to help people. And that's what all of us are like uniquely designed to do. So I'm so glad that you brought this today. I hope that was like helpful. Is there anything else that's lingering?
I think I'll have to sit on it for a while, but this was helpful.
I'm so glad. Allow yourself to percolate, allow yourself to shift to that next self concept. Sometimes it takes one thought, sometimes it takes a lot of thinking the thought over and over again because it's such a big shift for your self concept. So allow it to percolate and just exist for a little bit. And message if you have any other thoughts. Would you be open to any other thoughts from anyone else in the group?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Anyone, Talia?
I have one. Yeah. And yeah, I've had a really similar experience with a very deeply ingrained thought that like work is supposed to be hard and miserable, which is how I spent like a decade as a divorce lawyer. So I'm glad that you're learning this lesson much earlier than I did. Just the thing I wanted to offer you is like when we're reprogramming such a deep belief, like we can choose to have the thought that like work can be easy, but like having the expectation that reprogramming our brain sometimes is really hard is really helpful for me. Like I really, really, really had to practice that, and I'm still practicing it. So it's like it sounds like you have the like front brain thought that like you want to have, but you're like, I call it the lizard brain, the like non-verbal part of your brain that's like, I don't know, this still just doesn't feel right. Like it just takes a lot of time to get that new thought in there. Like the deeper it is, the further back you have to go to find that original thought, the harder it can be to overwrite it. So that's just like a totally normal part of the process, is like feeling this like dissonance, and having to move through it is normal. It sounds like you're on the right track.
Yeah. Thanks, Talia. Did you find anything that you did helped you when you were kind of in those, when you felt that dissonance, especially?
Yeah, the thing that helped me the most was just like recognizing it and being like, okay, there's that old thought. Like I'm actively reprogramming this thought. So I'm just going to notice the old thought and like feel the dissonance and know that that's part of the process. So just like accepting that discomfort as being part of the process was the most helpful for me.
I agree. And another thought that like I realized like thoughts that had come from like actually like a past partner. So like yours came from like parental or like things like that. And I would recognize like if I had free time, I was like, I have to be working. Like I have to work right now. Another thought I would have, I'd be like, that's not a me thought, that's a them thought. And I'm just gonna like kindly give that back to them and also like listen to myself. And it was like I just like it was a lot of the active awareness and just being like, I know where this comes from now, and being like, oh, I know where this is from, and I know this, I also don't want this to like run my life anymore. It ran my life for too long, and not gonna let that happen anymore. So like just being like, oh, that's my parents, oh, this, or oh, that's a childhood friend, and this is like not what I want to do anymore. Does that help a little bit too?
Yeah.
And it will lessen as time goes on.
With practice, I'm sure.
Lots of practice and patience.
Lots of practice.
I can just be like, there's that thought. But know that this is normal. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Talia. And if you have any other questions for like, also like you can just like be like, help, like this is happening again. Like, can someone else like just like sit with me and walk me through this? Like, that's what we're here for always. Just so cool that we have such an awesome community. I love you guys so much. I'm like, we are so lucky to have this. Like, any other thoughts? If you have some later, like feel free to like put them in the stream and like tag, when you tag people, you just have to do the @ symbol and then you have to use their email. So just so you know, like that's in the future for everybody. But that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Vindia. That was like a great way to start our call today. So many feels and like all the things. And that like why trilogy, quadruple, like 7 different like questions. That's another tool that I use when I'm doing self-coaching. I'm like, why? Oh, there's a thought. Like just asking myself why as many times as I can is really helpful. Who else would like some coaching today? It's 11:11. Make a wish. Sorry. Carry on. Yes, Demetria. Day 2.
I guess I could get coaching.
With a win first.
Okay. Okay, I have a win. Hold on. This is ready to offer to my clients, because the deal is it's going to be, I'll send it to my clients when somebody signs up with me, and I'm also just going to sell it.
Oh my God, amazing.
I've kind of figured out a way to do it. I want to sell it because I love it and I think it's a great planner, but also a little bit to make it a lead magnet. They can buy it. There's going to be a little QR code where they can come over to my website and view a video, and I kind of walk them through it. I mean, there are some steps to kind of tell them about it. And then, an offer to join my mailing list. I can capture their email when they come over, and then just nurture that email list. So I can make some money on it, a little, enough, whatever, it's fine. And I've realized that it's a way to kind of get to build my email list. And so I'm excited about that. So I'm just, I'm excited that it's ready to go. I'm writing the script for the video today, and I'll either shoot it today or tomorrow. So,
Oh my God.
And it's going to be a very short video, so it's not like a script, it's just to give them some tips on, working through the planner and how I use it, that kind of thing. So yeah.
And I'm gonna offer to you, this is something that I was telling a friend of mine, she made something similar, and I was like, do you realize now, and Vindia, you're gonna know now how awesome this is. Like, you're a published author. Like, you are a self-published author now. Like, you can say, like, forever bucket list, I did this. Like, that is so awesome. I'm so excited for you. And Maria's like, yes, so cool. Like, this is incredible. So what would you like some coaching on after this? Like, and I am for sure gonna purchase it, by the way. I would love to be your first purchase.
You. So today is day 2 of full-time in my business. And yesterday I have my calendar like color-coded and ready to go. I love it, everything about it. I worked all day yesterday. I really didn't mean to, but I did. And so I do know that that's not going to be the way that things are going to happen every day. Because I have specific times that I want to work, and I want and need downtime and time to myself, time to enjoy. So I know that I had a pop-up thing come up for today that's going to be awesome. I think it's a networking opportunity. And I was thinking about what I did yesterday, and it was good stuff, but not like the networking, meeting people, telling them a life coach kind of stuff. So I'm going to go back in and reevaluate my time and make sure that I have at least 1 or 2 like networking outreach kind of things on my calendar, because I know that's what I need. So
I totally agree. And I feel like I was actually, one of my other people, she's doing this whole training on Wednesday about all the things that we do in our business. Like, and that's why I said with the website, like you could spend 6 months and 500 hours making a beautiful website. and have no one to come to it. And it's like all the stuff, like, and that's why I say, like, with the finances and things like that, like I spent a solid like 2 hours, and it was like something I wanted to do for like peace of mind for myself, but that's not bringing in people. So it's like, I think doing a nice little balance so you can give your brain like that dopamine hit, like, ooh, I made this, and also let's actually tell people so I can sustain this. I think that's right on track. Within that, like, what do you feel like you want some coaching around, like when it is time to do that networking, or is there something else that you're like thinking, or do you just kind of like want to verbalize that, like, okay, yes, this is the right thing that I should be spending time on?
Yeah, and so maybe coaching on because I think the thought behind my planning originally was I need to do all this, I need to, get all this set up correctly, which I know I've been setting things up correctly, and I pretty much have everything set up. So I think it was busy work to kind of soothe my brain and feel like I was doing something, like I was working. Like my mom called and she's like, how's retirement? I'm like, retirement's over, like I'm working. And I'm like, I kind of went through and explained it all. I'm like, I've been up since 6. I have all this on my calendar, really kind of justifying it. So I wonder if I was doing that in my mind, because I don't have any clients right now, but I want to prove to myself that I'm working, and yeah.
Oh, for sure. And I guess today, the theme of today is overworking and like that thought. So I think that your thought is that, like, if what I want to know what a little bit more about, like, the thought, like, because, like, okay, like, what do you need to soothe your brain? What is the thought that like keeps coming up? It's like, oh my gosh, like, I don't have anything on my cat. Like, I'm not gonna give you any of my thoughts. It's like they were definitely there.
Yeah, well, I have plenty of things on my calendar. I don't have any paid clients right now. So that's my thought.
And what are you making that mean about you?
I'm crazy for quitting my job. But yeah, and yeah, let's go with that one.
There, okay. Why? What makes you crazy if you don't have play clients right now? Why is that crazy for you to quit your job?
Well, because you're supposed to be, I guess I don't have the proof of concept for this business right now. That's why I'm crazy.
Okay.
But I did it anyway.
So if you have the proof of concept, different avenue, it's like, if you, how many paid clients would you like, what would you need to have the proof of concept?
I mean, 3 would be fantastic for right now, to just say I got 3 consults and I would have, 3 clients on my books. That would be it, because I have my retirement money. That is my runway, is what I got from another coach, my runway for my business. So it's not like I'm worried about paying the bills, but at some point, right, I need this to be bringing money in.
Okay, so it's like this to be bringing money in. So I think that's the thought. Like, I think this is like the underlying thought. Like, I need this to be bringing money in, or else like X, Y, and Z. And we've talked a little bit about, like, in the last round, like, about like what are all those thoughts. I don't even want to entertain these right now. Okay, like, I just want to like, it's like, we can, if you feel like we need to like go down that road, but I think we know where that road leads. But it's just interesting. So your brain is like, I need to be bringing money in. So the solution, it's like our brains are like I think that Renee said, like, in excellent servants but terrible masters. So your brain was given the problem, I need to be bringing money in, and the only way you brought money in the past, it just goes to like the only thing you've ever known. So the only thing you've ever known is the more that I work, then maybe I can get a bonus, maybe I can get promoted. Like, that's, so your brain in the past was like working, and this is like maybe the flavor that like Vinny, maybe your parents had. It's like working more equals money. So if I just work a lot, then I'll be safe. Then I'll be able to be safe. And then I will, because in the past, if I need to bring money in, the solution is work more. So you see, like, that's the old paradigm that your brain was functioning in.
Yes.
You need to do is like shift that, because what we found is that the more that you're spending time just like working, you are working. That's why I'm putting like soft parentheses around it. It's like soft. It's like you're working, but you're not actually doing the client generating activities.
Right.
It's the more that you do that kind of work, we just need to show your brain, the more I do this work, the busy work, the less money I'll bring in.
Ooh.
See, it's like the more work, more time with the busy work, the less money I actually bring in.
Wow. Okay.
Which is not, like, it's like, but we're catching it day 2. Nothing has it's like, okay, it's like but now we see the importance of shit, that because now we just need to like let your like lower lizard, primitive brain, whatever you want to call it, we needed a motivation and incentive to change a paradigm that's worked for you for your entire course of your work history. So we need something that's like very, like, it needs to see the importance to motivate you to shift, because it's not an easy, like we were just talking about with Vindia, it's like it is a shift that takes some time. So it's like we just need to recognize that, like, the more that you're working, it's like, okay, always checking in with like, what am I doing? How is this bringing in client? And if it's not bringing in client, and if I can't see me directly talking to somebody from this, then I want to take it off my schedule for right now. How
Okay.
now that's going to be, now if we want to do a bridge, if we want to do like a little mix of that, you've got the time. Like, so it's like we can do that, but what
Yeah.
comes up for you now?
So, I mean, that's really good, because I think in my mind, I was probably, well, I guess it's just like hustle, right? I like, gotta go, gotta, keep moving, have everything ready, I'm thinking like, be ready to go for the client. But I have everything in place. Like, if somebody said, I want to hire you today, I can hit click on the invoice, it can go. I have a email somewhere about, kind of into, like, I have those things in place. So there's nothing to get ready. So you're right. Like, I do need to think, how is this bringing in my next client?
Yeah.
And I like what you said earlier about, it's not, the more you think about you, the less money you're making. Well, basically, if I want to make money, I need to be thinking more about them. I wrote
Which
that.
is, like, again, completely the opposite of how everything has worked up until this point. And that's why I was saying to Vindia, I'm like, this is the evolution. I think that we are actually going to need to shift. It's like, there's a book by, oh my gosh, Eckhart Tolle, that talks about like the collective consciousness of the whole. We need to like evolve and I think that by the way that we do that is by like realizing our unique gifts and talents and shifting from focusing on us and then focusing on the many. So it's like, it's like completely innate for your brain to be like, I need to focus on me, make sure me's ready so that I can go and help other people. But I think it's, again, the next level is to like focus on the other people. So it's like, yes, if you want to make money, it is important to like focus on the other people, which again isn't how your career has worked. It's not how society tells you it works. It tells you that hustle's the main way it works, but service is the way that, like, in a small business, that's the way it works, And I want to offer you that, like, you are like just so like sweet and wonderful and compelling, and also like a badass that like is organized enough to write your own book and get this planner onto the hands of other people. It's like you have such a great balance that I know that the world needs right now. That's why you had this drive to quit your job. I literally think it's like the world was like, your work is needed in the world. It's important for you to do this. That's why we're going to give you all this time to help people. Now, if you're focusing, I think another thought, like, it's interesting. Like, so you guys, I don't know if you guys, everybody knows this, but like I was in social media jail for like a little bit, got out of jail. Great. Fun fact, do not copy and paste messages to people. That I think was one of the things that got me flagged. So voice memos are wonderful. Like it takes just a little bit more time, but it's like so worth it. Or like just using talk to type, also great. Um, but if you were to think about you also your page is so great. My brain immediately, like after Greece, it got to like, okay, well now I can post again. Like I was like, I know that I can post again. And like it immediately focused on like all of the marketing on like social media. Like, and I was like, the way that I have always made money is by talking to the humans. Have not focused on that at all. And I'm like, of course, my brain always goes back to that. So it's like, if your brain, I know, will probably go back to the, okay, it's like if I need to serve people, I need to post more. I would love for your service to be like talking to people, another paradigm shift, which
Yeah.
is where I'm going to need you to trust me and like the many other people, because you don't necessarily have that proof of concept that has that worked for you? Has that ever, like, if you talk to somebody, then they decide to work with you?
Um, after a consult.
Okay, great. So it's like, how did they come to the consult?
They found me on the directory or via Instagram.
Okay, so I want to make that timeline from them doing the work to you doing the work. So the way that we can make that timeline shorter is by you finding them on Instagram, by you finding them on directories, by the networking groups, like, and things like that. Because if we think about like the energy it takes for someone to go to find us, to have the courage to reach out to us, to have the courage to book a consult call, like it's a lot of energy on them, that we just want to make it as easy as possible for the next person to work with you. You know what I mean? So
Right.
in that, what can we do? Like, what kind of ways can you make that gap shorter? What can we do to like have you energetically reaching out to people without doing a single post, things like that? You've got that already. That's all there. What can you do like today to sign a client?
So I said yes yesterday to moderating this mastermind. It's a workshopping thing, not a workshopping thing, a networking thing. So I'm doing that. And my brain was like, well, I have things on my calendar. I'm like, yeah, you do, but those are things that can move for this for 1 hour. So I really do I like to network in person. So either virtually like this or out, I'm in 2 groups. I do want to research more groups and then make sure I have 1 or 2 things on my calendar every week. That's a networking type event. And then I do need to engage more with people who are engaging with me, like the outreach that you said. So I'm committed to that. And working through whatever discomfort I think I might have. I'm not like, why do you even have to have discomfort? Like, it's okay. You don't have to. But obviously, it's somewhere I'm resisting that. So I'm committed to not resisting that, to leaning in.
Mm-hmm. And I want you to think about, like, I wrote up here, what does someone need to hear from you? Like, I think a lot of times we look at, I forget who I was talking to about this, but like they looked at like, oh, I think it was Andrea in our group, like, and on the stream, she posted about like how she saw that like people at like another stage of their business, they like weren't going and like reaching out to people or talking to people at like $1 million stage. So she like made herself less approachable and things like that. Like thinking about like at this level, it's like, how amazing would it be if like the person that you see posting and you like are liking their posts and you love how beautiful it looks, it's like, what if they reach out to you and they're like, oh my gosh, like, hey, how's it going? It's so good to see you. Like, how has it been? I'm sorry it's been so long since I've like reached out to you. Just like, how would the experience, again, the discomfort comes from like the self, like it's like thinking about like yourself, but like thinking about like them, how that would like, there are people that are within your sphere right now that would be delighted for you to like reach out to them and be like, oh my gosh, Demetria has been doing that life coaching thing. I love everything that she posts. Like she created a planner. She literally like has it printed. It is something that like exists in the world. Like I've always wanted to do that. Man, I would love to hear more about how she did that. I would love to get that planner. I would love to Like, if you think about them, what thought do you want them to be like, what thought do you want them to be thinking to work with you? It's kind of meta, but it's like,
She has the answers that I need, or she can help me find the answers that I need.
she can help me. And I want you to think about you before life coaching. What was your life like?
A lot of questions and I want to say angst, a lot of angst and wanting.
I don't know how to spell angst. Oof.
A-
And AI.
ANGIST, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not gonna publish a book anytime soon. Just kidding. I spell check. But it's like with it, like it's like thinking about like the and like the thing is like for me, I didn't even realize how miserable, which sounds bad, but it's like I didn't know how it was like I could only see like 10% of the world. And then it was like everything just opened up and I was like, it all makes sense now. I understand why I've been struggling for so long. And it's like I knew I was struggling on a like different level, but like for me to like look back and be like, oh my God, things were rough. It's like a lot of times like I'm doing this for like mini Megs or like past me. It's like she needed it. And what got you started with life coaching?
Weight loss
Yeah.
and weight loss.
And like
But then I figured out a lot of mental chatter and like all the things going on in my head.
yeah. Like, and the reason why I got started is because Jackie was my 200-hour yoga teacher who's gonna come and talk to you guys on the 25th. And she was like, hey, like I'm offering free coaching. Would anyone be interested? And I was like, something to make my life better? 100% I'm in. I'm like, yes. Yesterday it signed me up. Like, and even though I didn't end up working with her then, I ended up working with her like 9 months later. And like, just because she had the courage to do that and like say, hey, I can help you, like, and reached out to me one-on-one and was like, hey, I would love to work with, like, let me know if this is something that you're looking for. And I was like, absolutely. But like, that probably scared the shit out of her. If she was just thinking about herself, she was probably like, oh my God, like, she paid me to do this training. Like, now I'm asking her to do something for me for free. Like, oh, I don't know. But then she has had to put all that aside and because she did, it forever changed my life, you know? And now it gets to change your lives. And it's like the ripple effect. So it's like having the courage to be like that, like badass. It's like, yes, I know I can help you. And getting to know people, not just saying like, oh, I could like, let's work together tomorrow. It's like having that like building is crucial, you know?
Yeah. Yes.
Amazing. Well, I'm so proud of you. There's going to be stuff that comes up. There's going to be like the self. It's like, just know that. And if you ever need any of us, like message in that group. We will be here for you. Like emotion, even if we don't respond, it's like emotionally supporting you through this transition. Is there anything else that's like coming up or are you feeling good?
I'm good. When you said that, I was like, oh, do I need to go offer free coaching to people? But and I can.
If you want.
But yeah. So
What feels good, like and like I mean on my webinars I offer free coaching. I offer free coaching in my Facebook group. So I still offer free coaching if you wanted to do that. What in your heart feels like a great way to like connect to somebody like right now?
I go back to networking, just like going out and meeting people because I love that anyway. So
Yeah. And just like being like, okay, like, oh my gosh, like I'm a life coach. This is what I do. Like, this is how I help people. Just like thinking about what do they potentially need to hear from me today to like work with me now is like another thing I want to add. But I think this is beautiful. I think you're completely on the right track. I know it's going to be like nervous system triggering and like all the things. So I haven't gotten some of the ways to like help you regulate, but I'm so proud of you for doing this work. I literally like, I think it is our purpose to like evolve the collective consciousness of the whole. I think it's a like big deal. So I'm proud of you. And I wanted to are you open to opening it up to everybody and seeing if there are any like tidbits?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Maria.
I'm not sure if this will be helpful. So ignore it if it's not. But one thing that I've noticed about myself, and it reminded me when you were talking, is that like I'm not sure what you did before, like in your like day job before you stopped working there. But I'm guessing it was like something like a white collar job and like at a computer doing something in the corporate world. And I really personally had to like remind myself like what is work. And like for me, like work it's like I have to be at the computer, like it's like sitting at a desk at the computer, or it's like a formal meeting. And there was all these like things that were associated with like what is my job or what is work, and it's like you were saying, I don't have any clients. And like, so having a client is like, okay, I'm working at like this company that serves a client, and then taking that into like the coaching business. And I've just realized so much, and I'm still like discovering new ways of the little things that are work for my coaching business that often don't feel like work. And like for you, if you love networking and like you would have maybe gone out and like said yes to a little event and had a lot of fun mingling with people, like of course it kind of like won't feel like work.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, you go and do it and you are working, and you like the drive is work. Like if you ever had like meetings that you had to travel to, like you would count this, for me, it was like a subway ride, or like you have ever had to drive somewhere or fly somewhere for a meeting. You're like, no, this is work. I'm kind of maybe like gonna be lax on like this other like emails or other things that are also work, but I'm like traveling for this other client. So I'm spending more time with them, and it wouldn't be like a mental thing. Like you'd be like, yeah, it's fine. Or like for me, like sending people messages on social media is like, I have to remind like, oh, that is my job. Like I was saying in one of my wins this week was like, oh, like the networking stuff and sending messages to people, it's actually like what I wish I was doing in terms of like reaching out and being like, hey, how are you? What's up? Like I love that too.
Right.
And I think that like I initially like avoided it because I felt like for whatever reason the social media piece for a long time that maybe wouldn't have felt like work, but now like we've all been kind of told so much that like you got to be on social media and you got to be out there, whatever, that we're like, okay, that's work. It's just really interesting what your brain will like attach to what is work and what isn't. And so I just wanted to throw that out, that like I think when you're switching kind of careers in a way, like you have to redefine the things that are work.
Mm-hmm.
That is true.
If that is helpful at all. I've gone through it.
Yeah. And it is because, and you know what, yesterday I was like, I call it ass in seat. Like I was here all day, like at this desk. I was really doing things. I wasn't just mindlessly, like I got up, like I never turned on the TV. I never did like anything. And I was like, wow, which it went fast because I also enjoy the things that I was doing, but I don't want to, even in this and enjoying it, I don't want to do that every day, live like that every day, so yes, you're right. I am going to have to redefine what's work. Thank you. That is helpful.
And I also like in the meantime, something for me, because is in the process recovering workaholic. Another thing that I would consider work is like sitting and watching a TV show and being like, I want to decompress. this is also work. It's work. It's like important for me to take time, go on a walk, do things that are completely not work related, because if I know that if I continue to overwork, I'm gonna burn out and it's not gonna be work. So I'm like on this walk thinking nothing about my clients, literally just like existing in the world. This is also work. At my yoga class, this is work for me. It's like redefining. It's like, this is like our morning meeting. My morning meeting is doing down dog and a very sweaty yoga class. I'm like, this is it. And it's like, so in the meantime, that can be a good transition thought. Like relaxing is work as well.
Yeah, Talia just wrote rest is action.
Yes.
And one other thing that I just thought about, because you were saying in a yoga class, I have like put time on my schedule like to get up and work out, but also I put on my schedule, I think pretty much every day, like I start at 9. But if there's not somebody on my calendar, do I really have to start at 9? Like really, then I don't. Like I don't have to clock in, and you know what I mean? I want to get it done. I want to honor my calendar because I do like being organized, but there's no time clock.
No. And
Wow.
I'm so glad that you're seeing that and just like being able to like rest into the blank spaces on your calendar too. Like I've had a lot of more blank space and I'm like, it's like almost triggering. It's like the weirdest thing. I'm like, this is what I always wanted. Even just like being present in Greece, I was like, wow, okay. Like it was just such a sign of being like, I think I've like actually like figured a little bit of this out, because I've never, like I used to travel even and I would like be on the clock in my brain and it was like, no, like I need to step away in order to serve. Like I need to actually, it's a completely different way, but if you can think about it like that, it's like, and that is honoring your calendar. Maybe like it's like not starting your day till noon. Important.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all.
Of course. I love this. So dang good. Yes, having a full cup, it really shifts so much for you. Like I feel like I can give you guys so much because I'm not just like mentally going all the time, which is really cool. Amazing. We still have like 17 solid minutes. Who else would like to jump in here?
Or something that's like, I think, quickish.
Okay, perfect. What's a win first?
I had a former colleague reach out that wants to coach. Like we need to do the consult and stuff, but it was a great message to get.
Amazing. And your favorite color is pink, yeah? Or
Yeah,
green?
that's green or pink's perfect.
Okay, awesome. I made it purple. Yep, I made it. Okay. Amazing. And another real quick tidbit. I have been trying so hard to get a formula that if I reach out to this many people, then it will work. And I have a lot of data that can prove to that. And again, it was just apparently a very transformational call for my brain and my self-concept. But Janae was like, DL is at 7 figures, like multiple 7 figures, and she has no idea who her next client is going to be. No idea. She's like, I don't know where my next client's going to come from. No fucking clue. And I was like, what? Like, how can you be making that much money without this stream? And she's like, I'm sure it's like kind of streamlined, but she's like, none of us know. It's just putting energy into the world. Like, I can help you serving, showing up, meeting as many people as possible. And somehow it just shifts in our favor. And I was like, broke my brain, because then it gets like that. Yeah. Dimitri, I'm like, I'm seeing the like, yeah, literally multiple 7 figures, no idea where her clients are coming from. It's just showing up and serving. So glad that you showed up and served enough times, Maria, that like somebody was like, oh, I'm gonna reach out to you about coaching. So damn good. So good. Thank you for letting me.
It's like she like we've worked together, but and I know her well. Like I don't feel like I haven't gotten the sense that she's been like, maybe she's been lurking. She probably has a little bit, but it's not like she's been like really actively like liking things. Like she's maybe liked a few things. It's just like, yeah. You have to remember that like someone's like social activity has nothing to do with like their interest.
Always.
Like I did the same thing to you, Megan. Okay. So, I had a consult with someone. It was probably like, now it's been probably 3 weeks.
Mhm.
The consult ended with her like really wanting to like talk through it with her husband, um which like I kind of walked her through, like, what do you think he's going to say, like helped her like pre-prep for that conversation. um and she also was like, and I want to see if I can get my boss to pay for it, or like get my company to pay for it, which, if I'm being like totally honest, I'm still like, I think that there's like still some openness. Like, I kind of want more data on whether, like, I've had like thoughts before of like, oh, when people just want their company to pay for it, they're less invested. But I don't know that that's true. And I also think there's like, can be like a great like the whole process of going and asking for something from your company is part of all of what I teach women anyway. So I think that maybe my brain is trying to like categorize when it doesn't need to. So we like talked through that. I was like, how can I help? What do you need? And she asked for like a one sheet about my program. So I like sent that to her. We kind of agreed, like, it was clear that having a follow-up, like, my brain's kind of telling me like, you should have done a follow-up call. And I'm starting to see like how like I noticed it when we started talking about networking, and how like I had the realization that like when somebody was like a no, that I like put them in this bucket of like, they're no forever, like never talk to them again, like they do not like you kind of thing, or like just do not like bug them anymore, like keep your, stay in your lane and keep it moving. And I think I misinterpreted like something that I heard from probably a coach that wasn't even my actual coach, but like, so somebody that I'm like watching on social media. And I think that this, like, some more of that might be coming up here, where I'm like thinking I did something wrong a little bit by not like making sure I had a follow-up call. Despite that, gave her the like information, kind of like agreed on, like, I made sure I understood like what her timeline was, and explained that like, hey, I don't want this to be like a lingering decision for you. Like, I want you to be able to like make a decision and then feel really good about it and be like a yes or no, whatever. She's also like, she has 3 children. One is like a newborn. So she's probably also like, I don't know how much really the decision's weighing on her. Like she might be like not really thinking about it. I followed up once and been like, hey, just wanted to check in. Was that thing helpful? Whatever. And the response was like, I'm still waiting to like hear back from my boss.
Mhm.
And like, I think I think like a former version of me would have been like, okay, she's not interested. Like, don't, just like let it go, and she'll come back when she's ready. I know that that's not, I know like not like stopping communication is like not what I want to do anymore. But I think I've been like pausing and hesitating. I'm trying to find the right balance of like, how much is, I don't know, there's like this conflict about like, oh, is she walking all over me or something? Like, do I have like, am I having a moment of weak boundaries? Except like, it's just a fucking email. Like, it's not like it's taking up like, it's not like it's like sucking time. It's like all of the required effort is just like checking in every like 2 weeks or something, probably. I might be like talking myself out of this, but I'm noticing myself evolving in the moment, and I'm kind of wanting to like get it out, and also ask like, do I sound crazy?
So it's like, it's like the real estate that we allow like clients to have in our brains a lot of the time is just like profound. So this mom, you said she's a mom of 3, also has a full-time job and
Yeah.
like boss. So she could like within corporate coaching, she could absolutely use you.
Oh,
She
she certainly
she's
does.
like, I'm waiting to hear back from my boss. So she's like, so first off, the thing that you asked, it's like, oh, like, the like asking her company to pay for it. That process, like, she's already taken the first step in the transformation,
Yeah.
and she's asked we're going to assume positive intent that she has asked her boss, and that she is genuinely waiting to hear back from this boss. And do you see how much your brain made it mean? It's like, oh, she's politely wants to tell me fuck off, or whatever your brain is like.
Right.
Oh, it's like I just like this is her polite way of saying no. It's like your brain has made so many assumptions for her that are
Yeah.
like that she's a no for sure, and that like this conversation, what if she comes back to you and even says no, being like, okay, great, like, well, I will still be in contact with you. I will still make sure that I'm here to support you, like, and no matter what, like, I'll add you to my email list so you can at least get some like motivation in your inbox every week. It's so fascinating how our brains want to like fight against
Yes.
like what Vinny was saying, like that is this like at the very beginning she was like, yeah, like it's probably a joke, they're probably like fucking with me. It's like, or maybe she's very interested and also has like a very busy life and really could use you. If that were me, or just even me as a teacher, y'all, I was the worst. I would also take coaching calls in the car for the first little bit, like I was the woat of clients, like, but I got a lot better. But I needed like Jackie to be patient with me, and thank God she did, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her, you know?
And yeah, just like looking at this, I'm also like, there's such an opportunity to like loop her in to being like, hey, going and asking your boss for money is like a big deal. And it's like, it's part of like the what we are like what I want to help you with. And I just want to like like part of the next follow-up can be like celebrating her too, and like showing her that she's like making progress. And that feels like really, really good to like come at it from that angle, and also be like, I want to make sure that you feel supported, because I know that it can be like really uncomfortable to like make the ask, and this is maybe like the first of many asks that you're going to be making, especially and like there's so many things that she said in our consult that, you know, she wants more visibility, she wants to be like seen in her company, she wants more like, she wants a bigger seat at the table, like all of these things. And so thank you. I'm like proud of myself for being able to see enough of my brain to know that like something's off, and not do the thing that I used to do, which was like, well, bye. See you later.
Bye, see you later. It's totally fine. Like you just live your life and I'll never contact you again because
Die, but yeah, like it's like I feel like I'm uncovering like a whole thing here about like people pleasing, or like, you know, do anything before potentially ever even maybe, even if you don't know if you are or not, but do not make anyone uncomfortable with like your presence or like your like existence in the world. Even though like I'm like so proud to be doing what I'm doing, and I know like the impact that I have in women's lives, and like how important it is on like a much bigger scale too. Yeah.
I will say this is a bit of a woman thing. I'm not going to gender a lot of things. I try and leave that out of it. But oh my God, as women, if we can just stop apologizing for our existence and showing up to genuinely help people, I really think the world would be a way better place. And I'm just saying that from my past humble personal experience. I've coached men and women. Like gentlemen that I've coached, and there's no gentlemen in this group, none of them have a problem with this shit. They will follow up. They're like, it's like literally like not even, and that's why it must in my brain be like, I've coached enough people to be like, there must be some societal thing that we learn. And just I know how much you can help women in the corporate world. And it's so cool because the thing that you're helping them to stop doing, people pleasing, is the same thing that you've got to overcome too. At a different level. Like you could help them at that level. And it's like, it's just so awesome. So I'm really proud of you. And I also want to offer that like send this message to her, send so much love to her,
Yes.
know that you can see her potential, and then also think about the hundreds of thousands of women in corporate America right now that could use you. And like it's like sending all this positivity and moving forward to like the next people. It's like being like thinking about all the
Of like not clinging to, you know what I mean? Like, I
yeah.
think it's given me some time to figure out, like, I know we've talked about this of like the pendulum of like, you've got to swing all the way to one side and be like super clingy and like attack, and then the other side, and you're like, distant, and there's like, yeah, there's the balance in the middle is like, give as much love, show up, be present, respond, follow up, blah, 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 and like do the work so that you're not sitting and like dwelling about it, like thinking of her every day, or like
Mhm.
overly like distracting to avoid or something. And like keep putting your like energy and love into all the other like people that need your help too.
Mhm. And it's gonna be a balance, and you're gonna do it wrong.
Totally.
It's
Well,
gonna
I
be
have done it wrong like a bunch, so I'm not so like scared of I feel like I'm really starting to like see, like, I can point to both sides of like when I've done, yeah.
and like you like it's like seeing yourself like, and another thing I like to do is like think about my future self as like a large leader in the solopreneur industry. That's where I see myself. It's like I want to help make it easier so that you guys can have better work-life balance and just exist a lot easier as you go and change the world. And I think that like I also want you to see yourself as this leader in the corporate America industry, being like, I'm going first. And and exactly what you probably did in corporate America. You had to figure it out in order to find that balance so you could soar in your career. And now you're doing the same thing in your business too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how you have to like relearn things in a different context.
Always. It's so fun, but this was beautiful. I'm so glad that you're going to reach back out to her, and also for all the other people you get to help because of her. Like it's like, it's like she was such a great lesson for you in your like brain and self-concept and leveling up. Like what a beautiful gift.
Yeah.
You open to any other like thoughts from the peoples?
Yes, of course, always. Usually always.
Usually always.
But yes.
I have just a little thought for you, Maria. On my own, well, like I have a similar experience with all of this, and what the clingy distant pendulum, like I've thought about this in relationships, and kind of the way I've kind of like flipped the pendulum, and I realized that clingy and distant aren't actually on separate ends. It's like they make a full circle and touch. And it's like different ways of protecting yourself from something, right? So that's the thing that I think about in these situations where I'm like in this type of confusion. It's like, okay, am I protecting myself from failure, from vulnerability, from rejection? Like, what is in the back of my mind that like I feel like I need protection from? And one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot lately is just try to get in the mindset of like, okay, I need to fail as quickly as possible because that's part of this. So like, let's just get out there and do shit and fail and learn from it and keep going.
Yeah, totally.
Mhm.
That's really helpful. I love that. Yeah, it's like clingy and distant. Yeah, it's like they're like one and the same.
Yeah. In my experience, at least.
Yeah, totally.
And I love that you're like, it's to protect you from something, failure, vulnerability, rejection, like core wounds, of course, like
Mhm.
brilliance. Oh, like we're some smart ass humans. And I'm like, I love this. And I'm like, I truly think it's like that fuck it mentality. If you can make the failure mean nothing about you and be like, I'm just showing up, trying to live my purpose to help as many people as possible. Let's go. Yep, I'm falling on my face a lot and it doesn't feel good. And I'm getting back up and I'm going to keep going. Like, that is really, this is like the secret for so many people who I know, like, grew as like the faster you fall, the faster you fly. Oh, I like that. It's like the more you can just do it, it's like getting those reps in. Like I think in the last round, the girl, oh my gosh, brain, binge eating coach, Amber. I was like, apparently the first 4 times that you launch a group, it's horrible. And I was like, to get those reps in, I was like, go for it, start, learn from it. It's like, just get the reps in as much as you can, like at the gym. And that can be another way that, like a way that you can think about it. But I think this is so awesome. God, I just love you guys so much. Like, I hope you feel so loved and supported. Like, this container is always for you to like learn and grow. And if there is anything I can do to support you, please do never hesitate to ask. I'm just so insanely proud and inspired by you guys. And I will see you on Monday for website design with Sydney.
Thank you.
Of course. Bye, guys. Love ya.